car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck.
Hello and welcome to the Frontier Motor Show. This is Ivan Struckel, owner of Frontier Motors. And for the next half an hour, we're going to be talking about cars, and a little bit what's going on in the industry nationwide. Also a little bit what's going on in our neck of the woods here in Pensacola, and also what's going on at Frontier Motors and what sets us apart from the competition when you happen to be in the market for a vehicle. We never know where it's going to be. There's a lot of customers that I talk to that have come in and say, you know, I didn't think I'd need a car right now, and their car either blew a motor, got flooded, or perhaps got sideswiped by somebody running a light, and now they're forced into the market. And wouldn't it be nice to know that there is a car dealership that's willing to help you out when things like that happen? Of course, for example, if you do get your car totaled, call us up for a free replacement value. How much should that be? And what I'm getting at is from the insurance company. Some insurance companies have gone a little goofy on how they come up with a value for a replacement car. It used to be normally that they use the NADA value guides, which of course we have. These are a little bit different than the guides you get on the internet. Or they would, now what they're doing is they're using comparables. So they go shopping for the same car that you just got totaled and try to, of course, have it replaced with the least expensive one they can find, which isn't going to make you happy when you're trying to pay off your loan, especially if you have a loan on that vehicle. That's one of the things. But getting ahead a little bit, we talked about Frontier Motors. We've been doing this show going on 25 years now, and it's really helped put us on the map because, again, if you know there's a dealership out there that's not just there to grab your wallet, but there's actually to help you with advice, even if you are buying a car from a private individual. Perhaps you're buying a car from a neighbor, friend, maybe somebody at work. Maybe you saw one down the road at another car dealership, or maybe on Facebook or Craigslist. What you do is you get the ID number. If you don't know what the ID number is, it's also called the VIN number, vehicle identification number. It would be on the title. It would be on the person's insurance card if he doesn't have the car with him, or it would be on the windshield of the car and on the door of the car. There's a 17-digit ID number. I need that number to run a free Carfax report for you, which, by the way, costs over $40. We do them for free at Frontier Motors. We'll either mail them to you or you can come and pick them up. Or we can just tell you what it says if you call us. The other thing it does also spits out a comparable price. So if you're buying a car from a neighbor and they're asking $20,000 for the car, which happens to be book value, well, if I can buy that car, for example, at the auction for $15,000, I could sell it to you for $17,000, maybe $18,000, still pay for the transportation to get the car here, still make a profit, but yet beat that book value by a couple of $1,000s. So you never know if that book value is correct or not. Every once in a while, it's actually the opposite, where you look at a book and the vehicles are going for more than the book value. And a prime example normally would be an older Jeep Wrangler. The books keep going down in value every month, but the Wranglers don't drop in value like that every month. They drop a little bit, but very little bit. So, for example, a 15-year-old Wrangler might have a $8,000 book value, but it's selling on the market for $10,000 to $12,000. So these are things that you're going to want to know. Again, the home of free advice when you're in the market for a car, which you never know when it's going to be. The average age of a car on the road right now is 11.7 years. That's really high. When I got in the car business in 1975 selling cars, the average age of a car on the road was 7 years. So what that is saying, the number one reason people keep the cars longer is because the cars are built better. They last longer, the engines are better, they don't rust out as fast. There's a lot of things they've done. They've come a long way with the car manufacturing since 75. That's one reason. And the other reason is the cars are so expensive that people have a tendency to keep their car longer because the replacement price is crazy, especially what's happened with the COVID now in the last year. Prices have gone absolutely berserk. And one of the reasons is, and I see this on the cover of almost every magazine that I read, is the microchip crisis takes a toll on the whole industry. So there is if you haven't heard, if you're living in a bubble, it's all over the news every morning, that there is a microprocessor chip shortage in the car industry. And right now, just as an example, through June 1st, General Motors has given up 272 vehicles that they were going to build that they can't build because of this chip shortage. And that's just General Motors. Right now it says that the estimates that the chip shortage would cost the auto industry $110 billion in lost revenue this year and a net production loss of 3.9 million units. That is absolutely crazy. So what does this mean to you if you're in the market for a car? Well, one thing that I can tell you it means is that Automotive News in this week's edition says the tight supply sends some prices well over window sticker price. So that's what it means to you if you're going to be buying a brand new car, is that, you think about a new car. What are you going to do when you go shopping for a new car? What's your goal? Well, most people's goal is, number one, to find out which one they want to buy. That's the number one goal. The number two reason that you shop around is you want to get the best deal there is. In other words, what kind of a deal will you make me? It always comes out of the customer's words when they go up and come into a new car or a used car dealership for that matter. And it's like, how much can I get off? Guess what? You can't get nothing off. I actually had a customer go to the Kia store and tell them, if you can buy that Kia for full list, you're getting a good deal. Because a lot of dealerships are charging thousands of dollars over the window sticker. Now, the manufacturer doesn't like when their dealers are doing that. They are consulting their dealers, say, please don't mark them over sticker. So the way the dealers have gotten around that is they put a little addendum sticker on there, and they call it either a marketing adjustment or they give you something for that markup. Some dealers are marking their cars up anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000, and what they're doing is they're putting rust proofing on it, undercoating, a pinstripe, some type of a safety stuff they put on there, or they give you a window etching in case somebody breaks the glass, or they'll give you a extra set of floor mats in there, leather treatment, fabric treatment. So there's all kinds of little things they add on, and they mark that way up. It might cost them $200 or $300. They actually put rust proofing on the car, but they'll mark it up, $2,000, and that way they can give you a little bit more for your trade-in, or they can knock a little bit off the price of the car to make you feel a lot better. So right now things are absolutely crazy in the new car industry, and I'll give you an example of crazy. This is an extreme example. They came out, if you notice in the background here, there's a Jeep Wrangler sitting there. That's a Jeep that I'm driving right now. And one of the reasons I'm driving a Jeep is because I can pull it behind a motorhome. They're very easy. You just put them in neutral and you can pull them. So they're one of the best. That's why a lot of motorhomes, when you're driving down the expressway, you'll see there's going to be a Wrangler behind there because they're very easy and it's also easy to switch over from one to another, the base plates. So that's one of the reasons I'm driving a Wrangler. Other than the fact I also like them. They're fun to drive. So they came out with this new Wrangler a couple of months ago called the 392. And that is a new V8 Wrangler, which they haven't made in decades. There hasn't been a V8 Wrangler out forever since I've been in the car business. But there was one time, a long time ago, that they did make a V8 for a short period of time. Well, guess what? That V8 is back. I think it's 470 horsepower. It does 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. I mean, it's an absolute rocket for being a heavy toad, as they say. And so I ran the window sticker. There was one at the auction the other day with 10 miles on it. And you might say, well, why is a dealer taking their brand new vehicles to the auction? Well, one reason is because they're bringing over window sticker. And here's a prime example. The window sticker on this Wrangler was very expensive. Matter of fact, it's the most expensive non-modified Wrangler I've ever seen. It was $78,000 was the original window sticker on the car. That day, it sold at the auction for $90,700. You might say, well, why would a dealer, and this was dealers, the auctions are for dealer only. These are not for private individuals, maybe people walking in there that don't know what they're doing. These are people that buy cars for a living. So there's some dealer out there that paid about $12,000 over the window sticker for this particular Wrangler. So he thinks he's going to put it on his lot and sell it for even more money than that. Now, this is what I'm talking about when the industry is in chaos. Now, that is an extreme example. That extreme example is also on the Chevy Corvette. The 2020 Corvette came out. They changed the body style. They look like a Ferrari. I personally like them. I've talked to some people that don't care for them, but I really love the car, and I've been waiting for the price to come down. A brand new base model Corvette is $59,900. It was a big deal that they were able to keep it under $60,000. That car for the last 2 years, called an LT1, that base model LT1 is selling at the auctions to dealers for $80,000. So they're going for $20,000 over full list, and those dealers are bringing them back to their lot and selling them for more than that because of supply and demand. Not so much because of the microprocessor chip shortage, but because it's a hot car. The manufacturer's done a really good job at pricing them. I've got a feeling in the next couple of years they're going to jack the price of this car up to the dealer because obviously it's ridiculously low. If you've got a vehicle that's been out for 2 years, which by the way is a new record, whenever they change a body style, it's normally hot for about 6 months, maybe 12 months. That happened with the Mustang a couple of years ago when they changed the body style. They were selling for over list price for about 6 months. After that, you could walk in and get a discount on them. Well, on the Corvette, for the last 2 years, I haven't been able to buy one. I would buy one for the original full list. I would pay a dealer full list. If your dealership out there listening to the show, if you got one, I'll pay full list for it. But I don't know why anybody would pay $20,000 over list price. The LT3, which is the loaded one, has a base retail price of $78,000. They're selling for between $100,000 and $110,000 at auction. Not on the dealer's website, but at auction. So very crazy things. A lot of the regular cars, also new cars, have gone up to list price and over list price because of the shortage of cars. So they're still getting cars in, but almost everything that's coming into the new car dealers' lots is pre-sold. So if you're the type of person that I can't talk into buying maybe a 6-month-old or a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old car and saving a bunch of money, if you're that person that says, I don't care how much it costs me, I'm going to buy brand new, well, my suggestion is get your order in now, put a deposit down on the car, because it's going to take you between 5 and 6 months to get that car. Everything that's already coming in is already pre-sold. And it's not just in the car business. I know it's like that in the boat business. I know it's like that in the RV business. And I know it's like that in the motorcycle and the bicycle business. So if you're thinking about buying a big ticket item like that, you might want to call the local dealer and find out what the wait time is. When you see vehicles, like you go up and down Car City, which in my case is up this way, you'll see cars in inventory, but a lot of the cars in inventory are what I call the morphodite cars. Those are cars that nobody wants. That's why they're still sitting there. These are cars that maybe they're manual transmissions, maybe they're bad color choices, maybe the equipment choices are bad. The nice ones, and I can see this with the pickup trucks. There's good-looking pickup trucks and there's ugly trucks. And the ugly trucks are still on the dealer's lots. The good-looking trucks are all being sold, already pre-sold. So again, getting the word out that you need to go down to the new car dealer now. Now, before you go to that new car dealership, of course, what I would like to do is talk you into perhaps looking at a car that's maybe a year old, where you can save a bunch of money, especially now that they have jacked the price of those cars up even more. That should make the gap even. The used car prices are stable and have gone up a little bit, but new car prices have gone up way more than used car prices. So the gap is still going to be there. What that means is that if you get an out-the-door price on a brand new Chevrolet, for example, and you're looking at a 2021 or 20 used Chevrolet at Frontier Motors, what I always tell you to look at is don't look at the list price differences, because it gets very confusing. Don't look at what they're giving you for the trade-in. Very confusing. Ask them to give you an out-the-door price in writing, which should include the taxes, the dock fee, the battery tax, the tire tax, the license plate transfer, the title fee, any other fees that they're going to throw at you afterwards should be included in that one figure. And that's the only figure that you should write down or put in your head. So if their out-the-door figure is $30,000 after your trade-in, and our out-the-door figure is $26,000 on a 1-year-old car, you just got to make a decision. If I can save $4,000 on that car, is it worth it to me? To most people, they would say yes, as long as the car looks like new, smells like new, is like new, still has a factory warranty, hasn't been in an accident, is a non-smoker car. They're going to save the $4,000. And don't forget, when you save $4,000, you're also saving another $280, $300 in taxes, because you're going to be paying 7% of that difference, that you're going to be saving. So the taxes are also a little less. Normally our fees, the reason I tell you to get an out-the-door figure is because some dealerships they give you a good price, but then they jack up the fees they charge afterwards. And some of the fees can be very obnoxious, and you don't know if they're obnoxious or not until you get that out the door figure. So just a little tip from the top. We've been doing this show for a long time, and again, the real reason that I do this show is to give people a little bit of information. I talk about what the Consumer Reports says on the cars. When the new magazine comes out once a year, the best and the worst, or which cars to get, I always share that information with our customers. And for last year, for 2020, the number one car to get, the best brand, and I don't mean the most reliable, the most for customer satisfaction. I'm talking about the overall best vehicle to get, according to Consumer Reports, last year was a Porsche, which I thought was very interesting because years ago, and I was born in Germany, I grew up there, I moved to the United States when I was 7 years old, so I happen to like German cars. I like the Porsche, I like BMWs, I like the Audis, but I've never been a fan of the reliability of the Porsche or the Audi or the BMW. And the reason I say that is because I sell them for a living. You know, we started selling them 26 years ago when I got out of the new car industry and I got into the used car industry. We started selling cars, and I get the customer feedback, or I get customers that buy a car and 5 months later they got a transmission problem or an oil leak problem, and even though they know it's not under warranty, if the warranty is over with, they'll still let you know about it. And so I don't have the best reliability on a Porsche, but guess what? Things change. So that means I have to change my thinking. And when they do a best brand rating, what they do is they go on overall score as 4 factors. So it's not just reliability. It is road test. How does that car drive? How fast is it? How does it slow down? How does it take the corners? What is the quietness level of the car? How smooth is it? How does it take the bumps? Second thing, the most important to me, is reliability. If you buy the car, can you drive it that 11.7 years, which is the average, without having anything to do to the car other than normal maintenance and wear and tear? Owner satisfaction. If you sell a car and you take a survey 3 years later and you ask that person, which Consumer Reports does, would you buy the car again? And they say no, they take that in consideration. And lastly, and probably even more important than reliability, is safety features. If the vehicle doesn't have a certain amount of safety features, the Consumer Reports people will not recommend that car. And they're getting tighter and tighter on that. Used to be something as simple as anti-lock brakes and airbags. Years ago, I'm talking about 25 years ago, I remember the car didn't have airbags standard and anti-lock brake standard. I mean, you could get them on some vehicles, but you had to pay for it as an upgrade. They wouldn't recommend the car. So it forced the manufacturers to make those features standard on the car. Then they came out with stability control, which is a very cool safety feature. And Consumer Reports now says if it doesn't have stability control, we aren't recommending the car. So, and now the other new safety features that are out have to be at least available for them to recommend the car. So anyways, when I look at my safety reliability for 2020, I mean, my overall brand is Porsche's number 1, Genesis is number 2, Subaru is number 3, Mazda is number 4, which, by the way, Mazda took the title this year for the most reliable car. Who would have thunk that a medium-priced, if not even a low-priced vehicle, I would put the Mazda in a lower-priced vehicle, has the best reliability. In other words, they last a long, long time, along with Subaru, along with Lexus. Audi now is number 6 for overall brand. I'm happy to see that because, a couple of years ago we got a local Audi dealer now, so our Audi sales have skyrocketed because we have a local dealer. You don't have to take it over to Mobile anymore. And years ago they weren't the most reliable car, and I guess they've made a really good comeback where now they are above average. Hyundai is number 7 above BMW, which is number 8. So Alan Turner is our local Hyundai dealer, and I would definitely ask you to patronize his dealership if you're going to buy brand new. But of course, we would urge you to shop at Frontier to see what we can save you on a 2021 or a 2020. I like selling Hyundais because they come with one of the best warranties in the business. The Hyundai, the Kia, and the Mitsubishi have a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty, where the Honda and the Toyota, which has a reputation of being very reliable, has a 3-year warranty. Isn't that interesting? I am so surprised that if Honda and Toyota talk about how great their cars are, use that as a selling tool, why don't they just take their warranty and change it to 5-year 60 to compete with the Hyundai and the Kia and the Mitsubishi? Their warranties are even better than Lexus and Audi, which has a 4-year 50. So that's why I like selling them, because if you buy a 1-year-old Hyundai, you're going to have 4 more years of warranty. So if you trade your car every 4 years in, even if you have an issue with the car, it's going to be taken care of at no charge at the local Hyundai dealer. I'm unhappy to announce that Fiat was the last one on the list here as far as being the worst car. And I know that we had a Fiat dealership and they're now out of business. And I'm not sure it's because of the car or because of the reliability. And fortunately, I don't have any Fiats on the lot right now. I do like the Fiat 500. When they talk about reliability on a certain brand being the last, it doesn't mean that every one of their cars is bad, but they might have a couple of really bad vehicles. They only had 3 vehicles that made the rating, that made the test. So if 2 of the 3 were bad, it could easily be on the bottom. I don't like talking negative. I like talking about the positive of who's doing a really good job instead of who's doing a really bad job. Free appraisals at Frontier Motors. Now, why would you need a free appraisal? One reason would be if your car is totaled. The other reason would be if you're going to be buying a car somewhere else, or at least shopping around. You might shop at Frontier Motors, or you might want to hit 4 or 5 dealerships, or maybe you're looking at some dealers that out of state. I see people doing that now. You got Carvana and Vroom, and these dealers that are talking about, they're not even dealerships, they're more distributorships. Like Carvana, they advertise they'll bring a car to your doorstep. Well, when you buy a car from them, you never see anybody. You don't go to the dealership. There are no dealerships. It's all done online. So you give them information for your trade-in, and they're going to tell you what they'll give you for it. And that's why the free appraisal process that we have, whether it be done virtually or in person. Obviously, I would like to talk you into driving your car down here so I can physically look at it. I've got 4 people on the lot at all times that appraise cars for me. A lot of times I'm not at the dealership because I'm out buying cars. That's my number one job, is not selling cars, but buying cars. Because if you don't have the right car to sell, you're not going to sell anything. So I take pride into picking out almost all the vehicles myself, other than the ones that are traded in or the ones that you bring in, that I have managers and buyers that will do that. Some dealerships don't have a buyer on the premises. So you go down there because they're advertising, we'll buy your car, but they have nobody there to look at it, or you have to make an appointment. At Frontier Motors, you do not need an appointment to get a free appraisal or to get a buy bid on your car. You drive it in, and we are actually advertising right now that we will give you a buy bid within 15 minutes. We have enough buyers to be able to advertise that we can do that. The only time that we don't do it in 15 minutes, if it's an exotic car that needs a thorough inspection by a manufacturer. I'll give you an example. If it's a BMW or an Audi or a Jaguar that's out of factory warranty, we're going to want to take it somewhere to have it inspected, because if anything is wrong with that car and we can't see it by taking it around the block, we want to have a professional look at the car, just like you would if you're buying a car that's out of warranty. I never tell a customer not to get a car inspected. Sometimes I think that they're wasting their money. I know that Bobby Likas was advertising they do pre-purchase inspections for $100 or $105. Well, I never would talk you out of doing it. I think it's a little bit of a waste of money if you're buying a car that's got 6,000 miles on it and is under factory warranty and has a clean history report with no paint work and there's never been an accident. Anything wrong with the car is going to be taken care of. But I still urge you to always, follow advice of Dave Ramsey and Clark Howard and have a car looked at before you buy it. And that is also the reason that I advertise that we buy cars, is because if you sell the car yourself, people will come over to your house. There's a lot of scams going on. There's people taking for test drives and not coming back. People writing checks that are out no good. There's people that come to your house. They want a deal. They want a bargain. They want to trade in a car. They want you to finance it. An easier way to dispose of a car is by bringing it to Frontier Motors, and within 15 minutes, if you got the title in your back pocket, I can write you a check for that car. If you don't have the title, we can still do business. I can pay that car off for you. Normally, if it's an electronic title, I can give you the money right away. If it's a paper title, you will get the remainder of your money when you get the title, because a lot of times they will send the title to your home and not to our place of work. So free appraisals are really important if you're going to buy a car from Vroom or Carvana, so you know that they're giving you a fair shake on your trade-in. Or let's say you're going to go up and down Car City because you're really not sure what you want. Wouldn't it be nice to know what the trade-in's worth? So when you make your best deal on your car, and let's say you can still get a deal on a car. When I opened the show, I said, good luck with trying to get a deal on a new car these days. But let's say that you go to a dealership and you don't care. You're going to pay full list, but not a penny over. So you get them to knock off that addendum sticker price, and you throw the keys to the used car manager, and they're going to take your car for around the block, and they're going to come back and say, I'll give you $20,000 for the car. Well, what if I've already appraised that car for $22,000? Wouldn't it be nice to know that? That's why you come and get the free appraisal first. Don't call me afterwards and say, hey, did I get a good deal? Call me before you get a good deal. Before you get a bad deal. Diminished value. You get into a car accident because somebody else hit you. Your car is going to be worth less, isn't it? If you were buying a car from Frontier Motors, for example, or any dealership, and you ran a Carfax and it said, this car has been in a major accident. The airbags were deployed. It had to be towed from the scene. What would you think about the purchase of that car? Most people that I know from experience would either say, I'm not buying that car, or I will buy that car. I want to get it inspected before I buy it, but I want a darn good deal on it. I want a better deal on that car, which just makes sense. So what if you're the owner of that car? Now you're going to trade that car in. The dealer you're doing business with is going to devalue that car. It's called diminished value. Well, if that's not your fault, then you should be compensated by the other person's insurance company. And the way you do that is by stopping at Frontier Motors. We will give you a letter signed by a manager that based on our opinion, this is not a formula, based on our opinion, based on your accident on this particular car, this is what we feel that we would reappraise this car for if you were to trade the car in today. So let's just say hypothetically, it's one of these Corvettes I was telling you about that is a $100,000 car, and somebody broadsided your brand new Corvette. It's got $50,000 worth of damage, but they're not totaling the car. They're going to fix it and give it back to you. That car might have a $10,000 diminished value, which you should be made whole of because it's going to show up on that history report. Years ago, you might be able to get away with it because they didn't have history reports. Nowadays, everything's full disclosure. Ryan's telling me we've got a couple of minutes left, so folks, I appreciate you watching this show. If you know anybody that might be in the market for a vehicle, make sure you send them to Frontier Motors. Check out our website. We're also on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. So thanks again for listening, and thank you for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead.